Hey guys, welcome to my channel. If you guys are new to my channel, please like, subscribe, and don't forget to share. Today I'm going to be talking about the 8th house synastry, particularly the moon being in the 8th house, where his, or I would say my moon, was in his 8th house. Let's get started. Okay, so I want to put a lot of emphasis on knowing that when it comes down to that 8th house, there's a lot of intense feelings, intense emotions, things that will trigger things that you just can't explain. And it's only that particular person that can do it. It can either be vice versa. If your Venus is in there or if the Mercury is in there, it's just so unexplainable that only this person can trigger these emotions and these feelings. Now, I wanted to put a lot of emphasis on knowing that because the moon was in my 8th. Okay, so I wanted to say because the fact that, sorry, excuse me, because the fact that my moon was in his 8th house, I felt like I could see through to his soul. Like, literally seeing through the inner depths of his secrets and stuff that was hidden that he did not want to see. It was like a deep dive into somebody's soul and uncovering things that was hidden from public eye, or hidden at least from the conscious mind, But when I looked into his eyes, I'm just going to go into, because I want to say about looking into his eyes, but I also want to talk about the perspective of looking into his eyes and what I saw on an emotional level. Specifically, what I want to talk about was when I first met him, and I feel like if anybody experienced this, with their moon, being in that other person's 8th house, it was like an instant recognition of knowing them, you know what I mean? Like, and it was like, and I don't understand, like, please explain this to me with this instant draw of instant, like, when you rear somebody in, it's like you feel like there's a cord being pulled directly to that person, and you can't explain it, you just don't know. It's like you can feel also the intensity of the emotions. It didn't matter where he was in either this location, that location. You could think about them in a way, but you also can sense their well-being. Like, you could just see exactly what they are as far as their emotional state, how they were feeling in that moment in time. So if he could walk into a room, it didn't matter what I was doing. I could be sitting there talking and socializing with this one and that one and talking with that one or doing an activity. But it was like literally I had a sense of knowing he was in the room. And then as soon as he stepped into the room, it was like no other. He could walk in the room and me look directly into that direction. And it was like I was being pulled, and I didn't even care. Like, there could be somebody coming up to me offering me like candy, or there could be somebody coming up to me asking me, but I didn't care. My mind was consumed and directed into his awareness, his attention. And when I would look at him, I could tell what his emotional state was. I could tell how he was feeling with his emotions. I could tell if he was sad. I could tell if he was having a bad day. And it was like, because like when you're in a marriage with somebody, like husband and wife, and it's like, I've been with this person for so many years, I can just tell automatically, like how she's feeling and stuff. But I didn't have to be with him for so many years. I didn't have to at all. I could just tell, like, if he was like feeling sad or upset. And then what really got me is how I could look right into his eyes and I could see, and I can't explain this feeling. It felt like a sense of comfort when I was around him. Like that magnetic pull, as soon as I was around him, it was like that, I'm like a sense of comfort and home. And like I kept saying, where have you been all my life? I've been looking for this person. And I really want to also saying to this perspective is, why come every time when you're falling for anybody in that eighth house? It's like, why are they always, and this is from my perspective because I don't know, you can comment down below and say your perspective too. Why are they always married, and they have children or they have a productive life? And I'm like, and it was like, they're willing to risk it all just so that they can be with you in total secrecy. You know what I mean? Because that eighth house is the secrecy, and it's like, and it really depends on people's aspect as far as their astrological chart. Like, see, I am a moon in Scorpio, so it's even more intense with the intensity. So when I looked at his eyes, I could see things into him where I don't think he was even thinking I could be that aware. Like, when I looked directly into his eyes, I saw pain, I saw hurt, I saw that instantly into his eyes. And I wasn't going to say anything to him verbally because it was more like he communicated with me when he needed to, because it was at my work setting again, it was at my work setting. And I spoke to him when I needed to, and that was it. But I didn't feel like it needed to go any deeper because I felt like I knew so much about him, and it only took me within seconds of knowing all this information. And with having that moon, you have those emotions, but the raw emotion, hidden emotions, stuff that you want to hide, stuff that you don't want people to see. And me having the moon in that eighth house, I could see everything clear as day. So there was nothing for him to hide. And there were moments where I would ache, yearning to be like, wow, I feel your pain. I feel for you. I want to help you. And see, that's why I told you, when it comes down to that moon in eighth house, boundaries, like, sometimes you feel like there just isn't any boundaries, because there would be moments where he would be looking for me, I would be looking for him, and it was like, I feel like in a way too also they don't emphasize on the fact that, like, if somebody's a drug addict, and how like when somebody's, and I've never did any drugs at all, never done any drugs, where it gets down to a point where somebody's seeking that high, you know what I mean? It's like you get that first high, but it won't be as the best high that you'll ever experience, but you'll get that high. And I feel like there were moments where if I didn't see him or be around him, I was yearning to be in his presence. I had to be in his presence. I craved it if I didn't get into being around his presence. And it was like, as soon as I was around him, and it's like this addiction, because you have addicting habits, obsession. As soon as I got it, I felt like if I saw him, if I was around his vicinity of his being, it was like, okay, I feel better because I was able to see him. But then I wanted to stay too. Like, there would be times where it was like I wanted to be around him, and then when I would leave, I would feel so empty, so sad, like that part of me, that incomplete, is gone, and I'm yearning to want to be with him. But again, I always speak and I always say this, it would never happen because I have to be realistic, because you have to set those boundaries, because I feel like with the eighth house, it can be very traumatic. Like, you're walking into like hell and you don't know how to get yourself out of it. And you have to be able, like they say, the rise of the phoenix, you have to be able to rise from the darkest moments in your life and be able to overcome these challenges. Because an eighth house relationship, an eighth house being is going to be very deep transformation. So it's like, and it doesn't matter, because I can still, even when I see this person, you think it can simmer down and go away, but it's such a height of the intensity that you feel between each other. It just won't go away, and it just won't. There's like a vulnerability You know what I mean? Like when I feel like because my moon being in his 8th house, there's a vulnerability of him not being able to, I don't know, like he can be himself around me, but I feel like there's a sense of him, I can feel like he can literally be his true authentic self when he's around me. And I don't know, because you think of that moon, you think of motherly, like, so I remind him of something. But that is my point on talking about 8th house synastry. I know if there's probably a Venus in there, a Mercury, the obsession, the love, the thoughts. You know, anytime I think of anything with 8th house synastry, it's like, be prepared, because this is going to be a bumpy ride. And it's like literally looking into that cave, and you got to be a real strong person to tell yourself, can I do this? Like, am I ready for this? Because if you're not, don't go in. Don't go in. No matter how many times it's being tempted to you, don't go in. And not unless it's something healthy, or you got to look at the other aspects and other people's, or your astrological chart. But my point is it's very tempting to go in there and just literally want to just jump right in and head first and not even think about the consequences of what you're going to get yourself into. But that was my take on moon in the 8th house synastry. If you guys have any questions, feel free to comment down below. I really do appreciate it. And I hope this video was very insightful for all that was listening. You have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.